Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Costa Rica Real Talk, the Costa Rica Real Estate podcast on all things real estate and Costa Rica. Today we're joined by Orlando and Esteban from Stratus Escrow. How are you doing today?
Hi, thank you. You?
Very well.
Thank you. Very good.
It's nice to have you here to share a little bit with us about these innovative ideas we have at Stratus Escrow. Perhaps first of all, can you tell us a little bit about the trajectory of Stratus Escrow and how you come into the real estate business?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you to our friends to Costa Rica for this invitation. Stratos have more than 11 years in the Costa Rica market. Orlando and myself, we are the founding partners. We have more than 20 years experience each in the trust and escrow industry in Costa Rica and real estate. Stratos was focused, first of all, as an escrow company with like a boutique escrow company. We provide escrow services for different transactions, for example, real estate transactions, M&As, and we have clients such as Amazon, Bayer, and different individuals that purchase in Costa Rica. Can be like corporate or individuals as well.
And you provide services nationwide, right?
Yes, correct. You do. We have actually an office in San Jose, in Santan, and also we have an office in Amarilla Flaviu that we just opened last December. So in those two offices, we provide services to Costa Rica or the country.
And how is that process of expanding over time, considering also like the Costa Rica's real estate market uptake and boom?
Well, thank you for the invitation to Costa Rica. Thank you, Alonso. Referring to your last question, we also have the capability to operate in Central America and Mexico. Even though we are a Costa Rican company and we are based in Costa Rica, we have the ability to provide, and we provide escrow services and trust services in the region, not only in Costa Rica. With respect to the question?
The second one was about the process of expanding within Costa Rica's market, also in relationship to the real estate.
We start servicing mainly corporate market. We focus originally in M&As, mergers and acquisition. So we serve to foreign companies investing in Costa Rica, such as Amazon, Bayer, Uber, so that type of companies. But then we also moved to the retail market. We saw the opportunity in the real estate, especially in the coastal areas. We have substantial experience, Esteban and I. We came from the real estate market. We have been in the market for 25 years. So we saw the opportunity, we saw the bond expansion, and we decided to start our operations related to foreign people investing in Costa Rica, especially in the coastal areas. But now we have moved pretty much to all the country, not only in the coastal areas, but also in San Jose, in Central Valley. It has been very, very interesting growth for us.
And before we fully delve into the crypto market and BTC, I want to ask you about the first decision, the first approach of incorporating digital assets within your services. How was that process and that decision making?
Yes, after many years in the market, the traditional business, escrow business with the Stratus, Orlando and myself, we have some clients that start looking at us. So we say, hey, you guys, do you do escrow for crypto? Because we all brokers that come on and goes like, you know what, I have this property and the client wants to sell this property and the buyer have crypto, that. So Orlando myself that we start to realize that this is something that's happening, and we try to figure out a platform to provide the services, and we started to focus on that. And it took us almost 2 years to be able to have the platform for crypto in place, for escrow and exchange in place. And we name it ESETS. And it's a company that is not based in Costa Rica for obvious reasons, and that's how the company born for these purposes.
It has been like a philosophical process for us. We realized around 2 or 3 years ago that the economy was moving towards the direction of the crypto world. We realized that cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin specifically is an asset class that is here to stay in the market. What's happening right now in the market it's proven that we were right. So we felt that we need to have a solution for the demand for transactions, real estate transactions, to be completed using cryptocurrency. So we started to create the infrastructure. Now we have the infrastructure in place. We can provide escrow services for cryptocurrency transactions, either if the transaction is going to be fully completed in using crypto. Let's say the buyer and the seller will do the transaction in Bitcoin, for example, and the seller is going to receive the purchase price in Bitcoin. We can provide the escrow services for that to our company and brother company ESETs. And also, if the seller, for any reason, for whatever reason, does not want to receive the crypto, let's say many people don't believe in the asset, don't want to use crypto for whatever reason, we can receive the crypto, we can keep the crypto in escrow, and upon closing, when all the transaction documents have been completed, we can convert the crypto in the fiat currency and then deliver the purchase price in fiat currency to the beneficiary seller's bank account. So basically, we are providing the solution to the market from that particular name.
I want to ask you, you just mentioned, discussed a little bit about you identified that the land that wasn't being supplied in Costa Rica. How was that process? How would you describe the demand for real estate transactions with data and assets and crypto in the last perhaps 5 years?
It has been like a process. You're talking about 5 years. 5 years ago, probably there were just a few transactions, crypto transactions for real estate, but the demand has been growing. Obviously, over the past couple of years, in the crypto, especially Bitcoin price was so low, there were not many interest in that, because if I'm holding Bitcoins and the price is not good enough, probably I would keep waiting to the market to go up, and that is what is happening right now. So we have seen in the last months a substantial increase in the interest in crypto transactions. A lot of sellers are asking, can you provide that conversion service for us and so forth? And to Costa Rica, I think the Costa Rica is a pioneer in that market. We'll Kurt Scott afterwards, and as a person very involved in the crypto community, in the real estate transactions, in the Bitcoin world. So I believe that in the coming months we will see a very important demand for crypto as to services in the market.
Also, I will add that, for example, now people, and that's the thing that Orlando and myself were trying to do, to let the people know that there is a secure solution for escrow for crypto. And I will say that when people realize that they have the realtor in which they trust and know about crypto, but at the same time, they have this company or a company that can provide escrow services for crypto with a secure platform, it will be easy for more crypto holders to come to Costa Rica, to invest in Costa Rica, to do deals in Costa Rica. And I will say that in the future, will be many end clients coming to Costa Rica to purchase through crypto.
You also mentioned basically building your own infrastructure, because there was basically none in country, or not that much. How was that process, so establishing your own infrastructure for crypto transactions? And also perhaps tell us a little bit about the initial hiccups or challenges of being trailblazers in this area.
That is a very, very good question. It's very interesting. It has been a very interesting process, creating our own infrastructure. At the beginning, there were some crypto transactions that were completed using personal wallets and very, very, I would say, rudimentary systems. 3 years ago, we decided that we have to create our own infrastructure. So we start the process to create a corporate account. But first we create a company, ESETs. It's a BVI company. and then we start opening corporate accounts in the different exchanges, reputable exchanges, but that is not an account for Esteban or Orlando. It's a corporate account for instance. And then we had a challenge there because, I mean, we are an Escrow company, so the due diligence process we had to go through in order to be able to open that account was very extensive. The exchanges conducted a very detailed due diligence on us until we were authorized to have our corporate account. Now we have authorized $10 million a day in transactions and $1 million a month, which is substantial to serve this market. Then we had to open that bank account that are crypto friendly. We finally were able to, again, after a substantial due diligence process from our KYC procedures, M&A regulations and so forth, we were able to obtain our bank account crypto friendly. So now we have all the pieces in place to control the flow of the funds of the crypto and the fiat from end to end. So there is any gap in the flow of the funds. Our company will be in control from A to Z, and that provides security to the parties involved. That is very important, but what we want to have is providing security to the transaction.
And also what we did is, like, since we know the traditional business with the Stratos Escrow business, we try to apply the same process in crypto regarding, of course, we have our own softwares, our own records, our own team, experience team. So what we did is like reply, but instead of fiat, we did it with crypto, of course, with the difference of different platforms. But we know that the know-how is quite the same.
That's actually something I wanted to ask you about, because you mentioned that sometimes there's like both sides of the transaction process. One side perhaps expecting the fiat is instead of the crypto. How's that mentoring process as well? Perhaps because New Costa Rica, at least the last couple of years, there have been more spaces to dialogue and discuss like the crypto market. But in the general sense, perhaps there isn't as much information in some parts of the market, perhaps. So how's that also like not only helping with the transactions and providing the services, but also in a way, as you're leading the way, mentoring like your clients in this aspect?
We try to be pioneers in that regard, and mostly you making a transaction you have a buyer and a seller, and mostly the more interested party in using the crypto is the buyer, because he's the holder of the crypto. In Costa Rican market, majority of the sellers are not really crypto educated, so in most of the cases you will see that the seller does not want to receive crypto. They have the reason and we have to respect that. So when we have tried to the message we have been trying to convey to them is, don't worry, you can execute that transaction. It doesn't matter if your buyer is going to pay or deposit using crypto, because you are going to receive the fiat you want to receive. And that is the message we want to convey to the market, to the sellers especially. Obviously, we also want to encourage the sellers to accept that, to get involved in the crypto world, but that is not really our mission, because we're not really, for example, market expert. We cannot give an advice to a seller that, sure, you have to receive Bitcoin because it's a very good business. That is something that we don't do. I mean, that is the responsibility to decide if they accept or not. So our mission is to provide security to the transaction, and I would tell the seller, it doesn't matter. For example, we have customers that deposit the price in euros and we convert to US dollars. It's something the same. It's like a conversion of an asset. So you will receive the currency you want to receive. So that is what we are trying to do.
And can you take us a little bit through the step-by-step process, perhaps nationally in a summarized way, because I guess there's many steps with due diligence and everything, but perhaps like a little summary of how the process is when dealing with crypto and data assets in terms of like the escrow process.
What we are doing, or we have tried to do, and I guess we are successful in doing that, is in the front end of the transaction, is going to be exactly the same as the transaction is going to execute in fiat. The parties have to sign a sell and purchase agreement. Then the due diligence process will start, and then the escrow agreement is going to be signed. And once the due diligence process is completed and all the transaction documents are executed, the transfer deed, and so forth and so on, we will disperse the funds. So in the front end for the customer, talking seller, mailing, is going to be exactly the same. In the back end, the transaction is slightly different since we are going to receive the transaction funds in the cryptocurrency. We have to conduct a due diligence process. It's a due diligence specialized in crypto assets. We have been attending trainings with International Action Financial Group, which is the international group that specializes in MLA regulations. So the process we conduct in the back end is focused on crypto transactions. But in the front end, exactly the same. Once we completed the due diligence on the buyer and the depositor, so we receive that crypto asset, whatever the crypto asset is. Obviously, we recommend using the more stable crypto assets, the big Bitcoin or USDT or USDC stable coins. Those are the most recommended currencies to conduct the transactions because of the stability and so forth. We receive the crypto, we immediately convert the crypto in US dollars to avoid risk prices, price and risk. But having said that, it is important for the parties involved that in the transaction documents, it is defined who's going to take any price variation, and normally it's going to be the buyer. So the transaction price is fixed in US dollars, let's say $100,000, and he has to send 3 Bitcoins, but the price of the Bitcoin goes down. He has to adjust to complete the $100,000. Once we convert in US dollars, we transfer the funds to the bank account, and then you have a normal escrow. If the funds will be deposited in a bank and will be transferred in fiat. So summarize, in the front end, it's exactly the same for a real estate transactions. In the back end, it's slightly different, but the flow of the process is very similar.
I would add to that it's very important for clients to know that when we receive the crypto in our Escrow wallet, what we do is like we can keep it, for example, with Bitcoins. Parties agree to keep it in Bitcoin for a while, or we can do the exchange immediately to fiat if that's what the party wants to do it, or to a stable coin or whatever. So we are flexible in that instruction from clients. And the other thing that is very important that you may ask is how long it take the process, right? So we'll say like around 3 business days, more or less. Between, of course, when we see that crypto is in real time, so we can confirm this crypto, say, okay, we receive 10 Bitcoins, whatever. Then we do the exchange that is also almost in real time. And then we send it to, we do the exchange and send it to our bank. That can take like 2 business days, and then we have the money in field, and then we can wire the funds to the seller at closing when everything is in case, the transfer in, the documents, and so on.
Perhaps to start rounding out the podcast, I wanted to ask you about any more projects you have dealing with digital assets in terms of escrow services. Any projections within the crypto market as well?
We are a trust and escrow company, and we have been working in a project to create a digital trust where you can transfer assets into that trust, but the ownership of the trust is going to be represented by tokens. Then instead of signing a transfer deed or so forth to transfer the assets behind the trust, you just have to transfer the token. So then you will create some sort of digital economy for your assets. And we have been working in that. We have been facing technology challenges, obviously, and we have like an MVP. It's a project we really like, and we're very enthusiastic about it. We'll see where it goes, but it's something that may be very interesting for the market as an option.
Yes, and also part of that dream that I'd like to mention, and is also we dream for example, ESETS, which is our company for crypto escrow. and this other platform that we're working at, we're trying to provide that service worldwide. So it doesn't matter if you purchase a property in Costa Rica or in Paris, or you have assets in Costa Rica or in London, we can be able to handle everything. So in ESET will be a worldwide company, so provider and solution for all the clients that have this list.
Actually, with ESETs, I mentioned at the beginning that with the Stratus we can do transactions in Central America, Mexico. But with ESETs we can do transactions worldwide. I mean, right away, there is no limitation. We can receive the crypto from everywhere, and we can transfer the fiat to everywhere. So we are prepared to do that, and we are trying to commercialize ESETs like a regional or even global company.
Yeah, it's very interesting that considering like the decentralization of like escrow transactions as well. So it's very interesting to see that you're also like stepping into this like area, as you mentioned, like being like more like a global service. Are there any like final words that you would like to share with our listeners?
Yes, I would say like, when we start with this project, we asked some questions. We asked, okay, what do we put on the table, right? We are not experts as an organization in crypto regarding how we'll go this crypto, which cryptocurrency or coin we recommend to whatever, but we are experts in escrow services. We are experts in providing secure to the transaction. We are experts in providing transparency to a transaction. So that's what we put on the table. That's what we offer with our ESETs platform. And, we will try to invite clients to feel more confident to do ESET transactions in crypto. And there are the solutions, some people that know in this market that can help them to do it.
We believe that we are pioneering and we are very excited to work with Costa Rica, because I think Costa Rica is also pioneering in this segment. We have a lot of work to do internally in Costa Rica in terms of regulations. We have to convince the financial entities to accept the asset and to issue regulations. I mean, that's what's happening in the world. If you see in the US, now we have the big players investing in Bitcoin, for example. ETF's been approved at the SC. So we have to do the same in Costa Rica in order to be able to reopen that market. And that is a challenge, but also an opportunity.
Thank you so much, Esteban and Orlando, for coming here and sharing with us all your insight and expertise on the subject.
Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you for the invitation.
If you enjoyed the conversation, you can follow To Costa Rica Real Talk in your favorite streaming platform and To Costa Rica Real Estate in all social media.